Hi, Edwin.
Hi, Ida.
How are you?
I'm happy. I had a great dinner.
Yes.
It was really
And we
good.
had great company.
Yeah, your husband's a great cook.
Thank you. I'll tell him. So tell me, how did you get into music?
My mom first got me into music when I was about 4 years old. She used to play piano for the Red Cross in Denmark, and of course she took lessons before that. But she started me, and then I took lessons from the teacher Gladys Whale when I was 6 years old, and I took Royal Conservatory examinations up to grade 9.
And what were you listening to then?
At the time I grew up until at least my teenage years, I listened only to classical music. I loved classical music. My parents just listened to that. Rock and roll was, I would have called it degenerate at that time. I've obviously changed my tune since then, but frankly, I listened to classical music. I started out, obviously, Beethoven, Mozart were big on the hit list. My mother taught me to love Tchaikovsky. His melodies have always been huge for me, and I fell in love with Strauss. Actually, I saw a movie about the Strauss family when I was really young, and to see everybody singing along to the Emperor Waltz, that really hooked me into the power of music. So I love that. I used to cry when I listened to a certain CBC show. They were playing Puccini's My Beloved Father, and as the theme song, I would always cry when I listened to that. So that's the kind of music I got into. I guess at about 16, well, you know, hormones and all, I got into Led Zeppelin, and you know, that was a life-changing experience too. They're very good musicians. Jimi Hendrix, Buddy Guy, Janis Joplin, the Allman Brothers, Little Feat, Aretha Franklin. I mean, there's so much great music out there, but up until I was 16, I just liked the classical stuff.
When did you first start writing your own music?
I started writing my own stuff on my first trip away from Ottawa. I was 18 years old, and I was on my way to Vancouver. And I wrote some very, very bad songs along the way there. But you have to write something bad in order to figure out what's good. So that's when I started writing my own music on my way out to Vancouver.
But now you're writing and performing your own original classical music. How did that come about?
I played in rock bands after I came back from Vancouver and that particular life-changing experience. And I had a lot of fun working in the nightclubs in Ottawa and in Montreal. But I had a particularly bad experience the last time I went to Morocco with my band. It's a beautiful country and the people are very nice, but that particular time I was suffering from a certain diabetes-related illnesses, and of course I also had to deal with a mutiny that occurred. So after that point in time, I didn't really want to work with other musicians. I'd had about enough of that particular scene, and I wanted to I guess start doing more work as a solo artist, and also in places that I had just begun to start evolving. For example, I was working for ballet companies, I was working at seniors' homes. I just wanted to expand on that. So I started taking my own music from the ballet companies, and there you go.
And what were you listening to then?
When I grew up, I was listening mainly to classical music. Mozart, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven. Johann Strauss was a huge influence for me. I loved to watch the movie His Family. I liked The Student Prince. That was really nice. And of course, there was a particular radio show every Sunday night I listened to, which had My Beloved Father by Puccini as its theme. And that was so emotional, it made me cry every Sunday. So I remember that very fondly. Of course, when I hit puberty and the hormones started flowing, I got into rock and roll, and especially Led Zeppelin. Great for teenage boys. And after Led Zeppelin, I got heavily into Jimi Hendrix, and he changed my life profoundly. Little Feat, Janis Joplin, Aretha Franklin, the Blues with Buddy Guy, Muddy Waters. I mean, it was a period of real turmoil for me, but it also was a great period because it's where I figured out what I wanted to do.
And what was that?
I wanted to write songs. I wanted to tell the stories of the people I'd met after I'd left my parents' house. I went to Vancouver when I was 18 years old, and I saw the people on the street there, and I stayed on the street for a while. I lived on the street, and I saw that their stories had as much right to be told as any other. So I started writing songs then. When I got back, I played in local rock and roll bands, and we didn't play original tunes, but you know, that was also a great time for me because I realized I needed to really get into shape and practice. And right there, you know, that's when I made my decision to study music more seriously. I went to Concordia, and although the music program didn't work out for me, I started playing with some of the best musicians in Montreal, and I learned on stage from them.
And when did you start writing your own music?
As I said, I was writing it in Vancouver, but those were all very bad songs. I started performing my own music when I started my own group, Edwin and the Bedouins, in 1993. And so that's when I got more serious about my own songs and actually putting them on disc and selling them and making music that was original.
But now you're writing and performing your own original classical music. How did that come about?
2 words: evil drummers. No, I'm just teasing. I had a terrible experience in Morocco, though. I love the Moroccan people, but I had a very difficult time there because I was suffering from diabetes-related complications. And also my band mutinied when I was in hospital, and that was very frustrating. I'm a little bitter still. But at the same time, it pushed me into a situation where I started working as a solo artist. So then I was able to concentrate on writing material that I had worked out while performing in ballet class, for instance, or at the seniors' homes.
Okay, so what other inspirations do you draw upon when you are writing your music? For example?
Anything that's a little unusual, anything that brings me emotion, you know. Obviously, personal relationships do a lot there, but things of beauty. For example, I wrote the En Gedi Suite around the beautiful kibbutz at En Gedi, a place that in 1957 was nothing more than desert, but through the efforts of 120 students and soldiers, was built and was imagined and brought into being as one of the most beautiful places on earth, where in 10 years a tree will go 30 feet tall, all because the efforts of these people in diverting a tiny little stream into this area brought about this miraculous Garden of Eden.
Beautiful. And what other subjects do you write about?
I write a lot about my family. I'm writing a song now about my father. I've written many pieces about my mom and her miraculous creations in the garden and elsewhere. I've written a piece about my beautiful wife and her 2 children. And I even wrote a piece for the 50th wedding anniversary of her parents, which I was able to perform in Israel at their wedding anniversary.
Beautiful.